Hello everyone. Today is Hands-On History at Middleton Place. My name is Sidney Frazier. I'm the Vice President of Horticulture. And today I'm going to give you some tips on how to properly prune your azaleas. Now keep in mind at Middleton Place we have over 100,000 azaleas. The azaleas came to Middleton Place about 100 years after the garden was started in 1741. So I know all of you are anxious to get outside, start doing some work. So today I'm going to show you how to properly prune your azalea. Now, and keep in mind, one of the problems that we do have with azaleas is that people tend to plant them too close together. Azaleas can grow up to 10 feet wide and 10 feet in height. So keep in mind, you got to give this plant a lot of space when you're going to plant it. So do not plant it right next to your door to walk in the house. You may be doing a lot of pruning. So today I'm going to just go through this and show you some of the techniques. But you got to have the right tools. So today I have my gloves. You must have your gloves when you're working with these plants, because you do not want to accidentally cut your fingers. So I have my gloves on today, and I also have my tools that I need in my pocket. This is my handheld pruner. This will take care of all of the small wood that I'm going to be cutting out today. And also I have a large lopper. Now this is going to take out anything that is too big for my pruner. A lot of people try to cut large wood with a small pruner and damage the pruner. That is a no-no. You do not do that, okay? Now, another thing about your pruners, the part that is going to actually cut into the wood of the plant, never allow it to touch the ground. You do not want it to touch the ground because you are cutting into the plant. You're opening up a wound, and if you allow that to touch the ground, then cut the plant, you are allowing disease to enter into your plant. So you do not want to do that. That's very, very important. I know most of us do not think about that. So I'm going to lean my large lopper up against the azaleas. And all of the azaleas that we have at Middleton Place for the most part are Azalea indica. The indicas are fast growing plant. They really grow fast. So it doesn't matter how much you cut this plant, it will come back. Okay, so keep that in mind. So just want to look into the interior of this plant. And what we are trying to do today is we're trying to get some more sunlight into the plant so that we can create some growth coming from the interior of the plant. So right now I have a blanket of azaleas here with the blooms. And another thing too, the blooms are already gone, so now is the proper time to start pruning your plants. You do not want to prune too early, and you definitely do not want to prune too late. So if you prune your azaleas after, say, the last day of July, you may be cutting away some of your next year flower buds. Do not do that. So just want to look in here, looking in the interior of the plant, kind of getting a look to see what's going on. Got some dead wood that I have to take out as well. So what I'm going to do right now is just take out a nice green branch all the way in here so I can get some light going inside this plant. Okay, so I'm going to cut that out of there. Got to get in there really good. There we go. So we got that out. Now I just opened up a large hole in there, and by doing that, sunlight is going to get in there. Those buds that are just sitting and resting on the stalk of the plant will begin to grow as that happens. So, but I got some dead wood in there that I need to take out, so I want to do that. So I'm going to grab my lopper for that. Take the big boy to cut that out of there. Looking to make sure that I am cutting exactly what I want to cut out of there. Take that out. There you go. Just going to take that out. And you want to do that yearly. You want to always check for dead wood to make sure that you get all of the dead wood out. Try to cut it all the way back down to where it's green again, so that it will heal over. If you don't cut it where it's green, it's not going to heal. It's going to continue to rot into the plant.
Is that a natural thing that happens with these plants sometimes, deadwood? The branches just die and so you have to take them out?
That's a natural thing, but most of the time it happens when you do not air prune. And air prune is cutting some of the foliage out so you can get sun going into the plant. Now we do know that you can trim azaleas. When you trim azaleas, keep in mind you're not going to have any growth on the inside. All the growth is going to be on the outside because the plant cannot get any sunlight on the inside.
Okay.
So I am only doing this now because I want to create some sunlight inside. I want to kind of rebuild this plant again. And some of the dead will have some green on it. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That just lets you know that you're cutting it all the way back like you should cut it back. Now, so I'm going to kind of leave this area right here, kind of open up as it is, and just kind of move around in this section here. And you can see this is like a blanket of foliage, not much like getting on the inside. So we're going to go ahead and remove some of this green. I'm going to be a little bit less aggressive here, and the reason why, because I do have some light getting on the inside. So just kind of look at this and just see where it will be feasible to remove a portion of this branch, not taking the whole branch out, just cutting a section out. Now you can see we got holes in here, and with those holes you also get air movement. The more air movement, the less scales you will have on your azaleas, because the scale want to be in a dark area. They want to be hidden. So give some sunlight and opening up, get some air movement, circulation going on in the plant. So I can do a little bit more here. I want to cut a little bit more off here, get some more movement in here. Now this is a piece of dead with some green on it. I just want to show you this. This is winter damage. This is what happens when you have a freeze and your plant sit on the side of the garden where it gets that early morning sunlight. The plant begins to thaw out too quickly. The cells erupt with inside the Cambium growth, and that is what happens. So when that happens, that's when bugs and other pests can get on the inside of your plant. So when you see this, go ahead and cut it out. Most of the time it won't kill the plant right away, but slowly it will kill the plant.
I have a quick question for you from Jan from Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania. She wanted to know, did the azaleas bloom early this year, and when is the typical blooming period for here in Charleston?
Good question. Let me start out by saying that Mother Nature is truly in charge, okay? We kind of try to figure out when this would normally happen, but you go from mid-March all the way to mid-April, and that's generally the time. But all depends on when winter ends and when spring began. And like today, it's really cool out here at Middleton Place, a little bit cooler than it would normally be. So it just all depends. Just keep in mind that Mother Nature will control when that season starts. Now for us, we would say that we had an early season this year because the azaleas are beginning to go out now. And so that means that the season was early.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Folks, if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat window here.
So I still want to continue to open this out just a little. Just want to get some of those out of there. And keep in mind, azaleas are really strong plants. It's hard to kill an azalea when you attempt to do it. It's very hard to do that. So we just want to continue to open this up. Now this is a pretty old plant. This plant has been there for a very, very long time. So when I first started working here in 1974, this plant to me appears to still be the same size it was because we're trying to maintain the height that we have. So that's just taking that out. And they're also easy to root or graft. You can do this very easily. Ear layering is a very easy way to accumulate more azaleas. Very easy. You do not have to be an expert to do this.
Great.
And one might ask, you know, why do you prune some of these azaleas and not all of them? Well, there's a certain part of the garden, like the formal part of the garden, we have to maintain the formality of the garden. So some of our azaleas we prune a little bit harder than others. But when you go in the informal part of the garden, like the cypress garden or the azalea hillside, we don't prune those azaleas aggressively like we do the one in the formal part of the garden. Simply because they're in the formal part of the garden, we have to prune them a little bit more. So, and what we also do is that once we get through pruning, that's when we fertilize. So that would be a good time to fertilize once you have got through pruning. And for us here at Middleton Place, our fertilization for our azaleas is 100% organic fertilizer. Listen, they didn't have the synthetic fertilizer in the early days, so we felt that it would be great to go back historically to use organic fertilizer, and it works very well for us. It's safe on the environment and it's safe on people as well.
Fantastic. Pat would like to know, how many varieties of azaleas are at Middleton Place, and do they need different types of care?
So Pat, great question. I can't give you the exact number, but I can tell you there are 100 of varieties at Middleton Place. And for us, luckily, the majority of our azaleas are Azalea indica, so they all receive the same treatment. We do not have any of the new azaleas. We do not have any of the dwarf azaleas, because if you have dwarf azaleas, you really don't need to do anything. There's nothing you really need to do. They will not grow out of the space that you put them in. So for us, all Azalea indica. So it's a lot of work, only because we have over 100,000 azaleas. But otherwise than that, as far as the practicality of maintaining them, it's all the same.
Great, thank you. And Beth would like to know, when is the best time to plant azaleas?
Okay, Beth, very good question. I know we like to go out and purchase those azaleas while they are blooming. Actually, that's really not the best time to plant your azaleas. The best time to plant your azaleas would be starting in October. So you can plant from October all the way up until January. That's the best time to put the plant in the ground. And the reason for it, the plant is not blooming, the plant is not going to be stressed out. Put it in the ground, give the root system time to really get going before the plant begins to bloom in the springtime.
Great, thank you.
Okay, awesome. So looking a little bit further here into this plant, and just still kind of open her up a little so we can really get into the interior of the plant. And here we have a limb that is really dead. So this one is dead. We don't need to keep this one in here. It's going to take some of that out of there and get it out. And another good reason to wear gloves is that the dead wood is really hard. It's a hard wood. It's not a soft tissue, and you can really scratch or cut your flesh. So it's good to have it, because this is, you can see, that's just, it's brittle, but it's hard. So keep that in mind when you're working with your azaleas. Another thing too, if you have really old azaleas, and I probably should have mentioned this before, if you have really old azaleas in a large plant like this is a host for paper nest wasps. So you really want to look into the plant before you stick your head or your hands inside there. Okay, they can be pretty aggressive, but the reason why they are in there, because they don't want us to see them. Okay, so I have a large piece of dead wood in here, so I'm going to need my big lopper for that one. I'm not going to attempt to cut that out with my small hand pruner. Let's see, where
while you do that, Pat wants to know, does the pH of the soil control the color of azaleas?
No, it doesn't. That's the good thing about azaleas. When you buy a white or pink or variegated azalea, it will always remain that color. The pH will never change the azalea color at all. Now, the pH can have an effect on how well the azalea grow. So keep that in mind. They are acid-loving plants. So if you have a pH that is neutral, your azalea is not going to be happy. So you want to bring that pH down to like a 6 or 6.5. Anything above that, they're really not that happy. And a nice organic soil, well drained, you'll have a happy azalea.
Thank you. And for my own edification, said, is it true about hydrangeas that the pH affects their color?
Yes.
That is true.
pH
Okay.
will affect the hydrangea color.
Got it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's see if we can get this large piece out of here. So this is huge in here. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we got that out of there. And this is what happened when you do not allow a lot of sunlight to get in. But it is always good, once you have a mature plant, to go in and remove the large cane anyway. That's a good thing to do, so that the plant can rejuvenate itself. And the plant will be healthier as that continue to take place.
Great.
So the one thing I didn't mention is that azaleas have azalea petal blight. Now the petal blight is something, it only attacks the flower. It does not attack the foliage, and it does not attack the bud while it's tight. But when the flower begins to open, the blight will actually attack the flower only. It will not attack any other part of the plant. And once the blooming season is over, it goes to sleep, it lays in the mulch, and it waits until the next season to be active again.
We have a couple more questions here.
Okay.
Do you know who originally introduced azaleas to Middleton Place?
Well, the azaleas came about 100 years after Henry Middleton started landscaping his garden. So we're thinking about the time of Arthur and William Middleton around that time. So think about 1741 the garden started, so about 1841, 1850 azaleas started coming into the area. And keep in mind, it would have been up north and it would have been in conservatories before, and then they started working their way back to the south. As far as exactly who was the one, I can't say right now. But I can tell you this, we are truly enjoying our 100,000 azaleas here at Middleton Place.
Yes, indeed. And do you work or teach outside Middleton Place?
I do. We are coming to you live, but this is one of the workshops that we were actually going to have this summer here at Middleton Place. So there will be more workshop coming shortly once we get out of this time period that we are in. So if you go to our web page, you will begin to see those workshops popping up there.
Great, thank you. And Jenny wants to know, is there a way to treat that petal blight?
There is a way to treat that petal blight. If you go to your local gardening store, they can tell you what product that you need. But if you only have a few azaleas, I would not even do any treatment at all. For us, we have 100,000 azaleas, so the more azaleas you have, that blight will spread. But if you only have, say, under 50 azaleas, I would not even worry about it.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
Good deal. So I want to get another piece out of here. There we go. On there. So, and you want to make sure you cut the branch out that you're really trying to cut out. I've made that mistake before and did not cut what I was trying to cut out and realized I had a much larger hole than I wanted to.
But azaleas are hardy, right? So
they are hardy. Yeah. So we got that out. So what I want to do now is go around the back of this plant and show you some of the larger canes that are coming up from the very bottom. So when we look in here, we can see all of these large canes, especially one like this. Now something like that, I would need my hand saw to take out because that's a pretty good size piece of branch there. So I would not attempt to cut that with my lopper. But this is what you would want to do. You want to take large ones out like that because this is probably one of the original stock from the original plant when it was planted. Large ones like that, large ones like that, you would want to take them out, and you don't have to take all out in 1 year. You can do this, you know, take out 1/4 1 year and the 4th the next year. Just keep going that way. But this is what we're trying to create, this new growth like this to be coming up from the base of the plant, and eventually over the years the larger original stalks will be cut out and we will have all these new healthy stalks coming on, and that will be the future of the plant. So azaleas are easy to grow, they're not hard to grow. Give them a little bit of TLC and they will reward you for years to come.
Thank you so much. One more last question. If you could please revisit really quickly which tools you use for pruning your azaleas.
Okay, all right, so very quickly, I have a large lopper here. This is really large, and this can cut up to about 1 inch, and anything larger than that, I would use a small hand tool, like a saw, to cut that out. Once again, we do not want the cutting portion to touch the ground at all. And I have a hand pruner. This is very friendly here. This is a friendly one, and I always try to find something that is friendly when I go out to purchase a pruner. This is friendly, the way how it cut. It doesn't press on the wood, but it actually cut the wood when you put the pressure on it, so that's really good. And make sure that it's sharp. Now, I know some of us may like to hold on to our pruner for more than 1 year. I would advise you, if the parts are not replaceable, disregard it and get a new pruner depending on how much you actually prune and work out in your gardens.
That's great. Thank you so much. Sydney, do you have any last parting words about azaleas or about Middleton Place for folks here for hands-on history?
Well, I would say that azaleas are really easy to grow, and I would advise you to plant some azaleas. Maybe the next time we'll be talking about Camellia japonica as well, because we have a lot of them out here as well. But as soon as this is all over, we're looking forward to welcoming all of you again to Middleton Place. Thank you so much.
Thank you.